Hello, my name is Mary Glacken. I'm a vice president at the Weather Company responsible for private-public partnerships. The Weather Company is a U.S.-based company that has broad assets. We're primarily known, or most well known, for the Weather Channel, which is a U.S.-based 24-hour-a-day weather forecast system channel that's provided. But really what's the growing part of our business is web and mobile. So weather.com and all of our mobile apps are known globally for providing very accurate weather information. And we also have a very active business-to-business component where, for example, we support airlines around the globe with very accurate information for them to make good decisions both in flight planning and en route. So in speaking about geospatial technology, arguably one of the early uses of geospatial technology was actually weather forecasting. Our prime problem is to make observations of the Earth and have them geolocated on the Earth. And then as we make forecasts, we're really moving weather systems around the globe, so that movement around the globe is most important. Today, in the very modern age, what's really important for people is to know what's going to happen at the weather, exactly where they are at the time they want to know that. We have a pretty incredible system called Forecast on Demand, where right from your cell phone you can just click and get up-to-date information for your precise location that's extremely accurate. So I think that we're a really prime user in geospatial information, and we're looking at combining our information with other data sets that are out there, because that's really when you unlock the value of data. The Weather Company works most closely with businesses in trying to achieve sustainable development goals. Whether this is in the very short term areas in trying to use energy more efficiently, we're working with a number of energy companies on that because use of energy is tied to weather and climate information in the shorter term. So that's one of the key areas. We're also working with businesses to help them make their business operations more effective, to be able to manage their supply chains as part of that. So all of these contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals, and I think it's clear that we're not going to reach these goals without active engagement of businesses around the globe. So people are talking about the Conference of the Parties in Paris that's coming up this fall, and there's been an incredible amount of work and effort that's gone into making that a really productive engagement. The Weather Company's been involved in this in a number of ways. Our CEO is part of a global leaders group that has made commitments themselves in private industry being part of the solution that we need for sustainable development. But I think the other thing that's important is we've been working to educate our citizens on climate and climate change. We've hosted documentaries on there with how climate change is impacting things of really importance to United States citizens, whether it's the impacts on our national defense or in our agriculture and things like that. So we're quite hopeful that we'll reach some productive agreements in Paris this fall, and I know the Obama administration's been working hard to achieve that goal. At the Eye on the Earth Summit today, there was an interesting session about data revolution, the data revolution, and I had the opportunity to speak there about looking at that revolution through the eye of weather information. And one of the key points that I made is weather is something people really understand. They've been engaged in it since humankind. We've been gathering weather observations for a very long period of time. And perhaps most importantly, weather is one of the ways that climate change manifests itself. We see extreme weather events. For example, in the U.S. this past weekend, we had historic rainfall amounts causing flooding and unfortunately deaths and destruction associated with that. So we talked about how we can use this aspect of weather to actually engage citizens at the weather company through our Property of the Weather Underground. We have more than 150,000 weather enthusiasts around the globe that have invested in a weather observing system, and they've connected that to the internet. They freely share their data on the internet to us. We quality control that data, and in return, we give them back an up-to-date forecast for their location, and they're also able to keep track of what's happening in their surrounding neighborhood. So I think this aspect of citizen science that we've talked about at this conference was one of the highlights of the data revolution, is that citizens all around the globe are generating information. The other part that I would really highlight is the new technology that's there. Things like cell phones themselves are actually providing weather observations. We can get atmospheric pressure readings off that, which allow us to improve our storm forecasting. So all in all, I think it was a pretty interesting session. We ended up on the note about talking about policies and how important it is to have data freely accessible and available, how it not only helps spur innovation, but in the weather field it keeps people safe and it makes businesses make smarter decisions. So we've spent a couple of days at this Eye on the Earth Summit now, and there's been a really wide-ranging number of presentations. To me, I think there's a couple of clear messages. One is the technology is extremely enabling here, but I think the real message for me has been engaging people, citizens, in the environment, to have them be part of the solution, to have them catch the energy, whether we're starting with young children with that or people further along. I think that that's really what's going to make the difference, that when we break out of just scientists who understand these problems to really engaging citizens, that's how we change policies and really affect change.